Let's work on the iliopsoas in this practice today. This is our largest muscle that attaches at T12 and goes to the greater trochanter of the femur, the top of the femur. So it goes from the back of the body to the front of the body, and it stabilizes the pelvis. For this practice, grab a block. And if your knees get a little fussy, you might want a little padding under them, so possibly a blanket. I've got a chair as well. You might want a chair with a tall back or the wall for our first pose. We'll begin standing. Grab your block, stand on the block in its lower height. As you stand on the block with your right foot, allow your left foot to hang and lift up. So almost like you're pulling it up by a bootstrap. Draw down, you lift up. As you lift up, your right leg is the weight-bearing leg, and you are letting all the weight of the left foot go down and up. The more you can get just a little action in this, the more you can create a little bit more freedom in the pelvic area. You'll notice that the standing leg gets a little fatigued after a bit. Now do some movement with the leg. Just allow it to create some circles. And with these circles, maybe you can make the circles bigger as you draw your foot wide. Just go as wide as possible in one direction. And now in the other direction, you've got this nice freedom in the leg. Step off the block. Let's come to the opposite side. Step onto the block with the left foot. Lift your toes up, spread your toes up, and see if you can get that same action, allowing the pelvis to get as much movement there as you draw down, and from the heel all the way to the top of the thigh, you're lifting up. Just some movements, slow it down a bit so that you can get as much movement as possible with the toes still lifted, the toes still spread. Find a place that feels like the middle of that movement, so the pelvis is pretty stable now before going into creating these circles with the right foot, with the toes still working nicely, spreading so that you've got this nice tone in the muscles of the leg. You can reverse that circle action, just staying very steady on your standing, weight-bearing left leg. Now release. That's something that is useful to do almost every day if you feel like you've got a lot of tightness in the iliopsoas muscle. And sometimes you feel that in the low back. Let's come to a kneeling position. We'll come to a kneeling position, and I like padding for my back knee. I'm going to also use 2 blocks for my hands. If you don't have the 2 blocks, then no problem, but it's nice to get that elevation. With your left knee padded, if you wish, step your right foot forward. The blocks are not mandatory. I just like the length that it gives the spine. As you let the pelvis just feel heavy and drop down, the support of the blocks just allows a nice elongation of the side body. And as you drop in, see if you can just start pulsing, just lifting slightly up, drop in again. Just with the breath, just move a nice in-breath as you lift up slightly. The exhale breath as you drop down. In-breath, pulse up. Exhale, go deeper. Again, inhale, pulse up. Exhale, just a bit deeper. Now tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up. You can keep your hands to the blocks, or if you feel balanced, you can take your hands right above the knee. Now in that lunge, we'll do the same thing we just did in the low lunge. We'll lift up and drop in. See if you can work with your breath. Inhale, you rise up. Exhale, you drop in. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Place your hands back to the mat or the blocks and come to all fours position. Step your left foot forward to come to the low lunge again. If the knee can drop forward of the ankle and the toe tips, by all means, allow yourself to settle into the pose first. Keep your back leg very strong. Back toes are really working here. So the in-breath as you lift up slightly. The exhale breath as you drop in deeper. In breath, you rise up. Exhale, just settle down. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. Now tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up to come to a high lunge. You can keep your hands to the blocks or take your hands in a balanced position to your top of the knee to lift up slightly out of the lunge to drop back in. Lift up, drop in. You don't want to bounce in this. It's just a nice slow pulsation. You're lifting up. Back heel is almost vertical. Drop in. Lift up. Drop in. One more. Lift up. And drop in. Now come out of the pose. Now lie down on your back with your knees bent. It's up to you how high you want to go, but for most of us, starting on the low level of the block works the best. So elevate your pelvis, place your sacrum right on the block, draw your right knee in for a lot of hip flexion, lift your left leg up to the sky, spread your toes. See if you can make your heel taller than your toes and draw down just slightly. And just draw down a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. Keep pulling the right knee in toward the heart as you reach your left leg out. Just hold the pose so that you get this nice elongation of the psoas muscle. And slowly bend your knee to place your foot down. Release your right foot down. Hug your left knee in. Just give it a good hug toward your ribs before reaching your right leg up. Spread your toes, get tone in the leg muscles. And as you draw the right foot down, just very slowly, you're moving to get more elongation of that psoas muscle. And once you're roughly parallel to the floor with the extended right leg, Just hold that pose. Maybe you can even go lower. We don't want to touch the earth. We're just keeping the leg engaged as a way to really extend and lengthen that psoas muscle. Stay here. Focus on your breath. Slowly release by bending your knees, planting your feet. See if you can lift yourself up a little bit higher on the block, maybe to the second level. Some of you can even take yourself to the highest level as you set your pelvis firmly down to whatever level feels right for you. You can enjoy this nice lengthening of the muscle that we've been working on. Just keep a nice openness to the heart. Just allow this supported bridge pose to give you this feeling of freedom, this feeling of length. As you're ready, you can come off of your support and lower your pelvis to the earth. Take your feet as wide apart as your mat is. Reach your arms out to the side as if they're wings. Reach your knees over to the right. Imagine that you can lengthen from the pant leg crease on the left leg to the knee. You can lengthen the femur, the thigh bone. Inhale, lift your knees up. Exhale, take your knees over to the side. And in the same way, on the right side, all the way from the pelvic point to your knee. Imagine you're lengthening from the pelvis to the kneecap, trying to grow that thigh bone even more. Invite a nice, easy breath. Come back to the center position. Slide your feet out so that you can just release your legs. Maybe windshield wiper with your feet, just back and forth to release the legs even further. Close your eyes. Attune to your breath. Soften your facial muscles. The practice allows much more freedom, yet stability in the pelvic area. Just notice how the heaviness of your pelvis allows your legs to release so fully. The breath is very easeful. You have a softness of your facial muscles. The stability of the pelvis allows for this feeling of the elongation of the spine. A feeling of spaciousness. Enjoy your Shavasana. Namaste.